slogging, boys. The biggest on the boss. Which button makes this thing go? Send me to the fight!
What's happening? What's going on? Where are we going?
This is the biggest and the strongest. Tell the other boys! Fighting and winning.
Please, no more kissing.
Alright, welcome back to another glorious Warhammer multiplayer stream. Today we're doing another Legendary Lords tournament hosted by your boy BBB Umbrella. And we are kicking it off with, let's see, a 8-man tourney, I believe. Oh, maybe 9-man tourney. Something man tourney. And it is a pick your legendary lord and go all the way with them with a twist. So essentially, instead of just the normal legendary lord tournament style where you take one lord and go all the way with him, you instead can collect lords that you have beaten if you make it to the semifinals or finals. So you can essentially have an army of defeated legendary lords, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's a fun little format that has a lot of potential. All right, let's see. So let's go with we'll go with Nurgle's Hot Yoga Studio here. I believe that is Umbrella's lobby. As long as someone has a good old spectator slot, we should be good to go. All right, but how are you guys doing? How y'all faring this fine day? What's going on, Strat? How you do? How you do? How you do? Into some spicy Warham action. He said, "I'm the one." Whoever has a spectator slot open first here. Foot Fetish, Phantasma, and Durat. All these are glorious titles, and I love the dedication to these the degeneracy of this tournament. But none of them have spectator slots, and this is what I'm looking for. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a bite of some food. Alrighty, your boy's back. Your boy is indeed back. So, let's see if anybody can open a spectator slot here. Oh, do you have a spectator slot? This guy has a spectator slot. We're going for gold. Let's see if this is one of the matchups of the day. Quickly get a stream blocker here. Lamb Sauce and Fat Kidder. He says, this, I believe, is a matchup in the tournament. So we are in the correct lobby here, which we should be, because the mod makes everything else incompatible. So let's see. Not Umbrella. We were seeing Katerin versus King of Kings. So I believe that is Cetra. So the first matchup of the day we will be seeing is Cetra versus Katerin. Gonna be an exciting one. Hey, what's going on, Umbrella? How you do? How you do? It's time for the showdown of the gods. Yeah, Strat, I'll hop in this Kislev Tomb Kings game first because they appear to be ready first. They beat everybody to the punch, so we'll go with them first. And I've been playing a lot more Kislev. You know, I'm not a huge order race in general fan. I do like some human factions, but they're mostly chaos oriented, I will say. The order race is just I think it's more so that like I've played like Rome and Medieval 2 for a long time before like Warhammer stuff came out, so I feel like very like I'm playing like older Total Wars, you know. And I played a lot of like a lot of Rome too, so like um yeah, I think I just get bored with the human factions. I like the fantastical stuff. That's what draws me to the Warhammer setting in general. You can stream mine next since I have a buy. Oh, you have a buy. Okay, great. Then I'm glad I didn't hop in your dumb lobby. Gah. But, yeah. The Tomb Kings have readied their forces, Kislev's still thinking a little bit. Pondering their options against the dreaded King of Kings. Cetra the Imperishable, he who does not perish. It's always great when you see like some ridiculous title like that in video games because you know they're always gonna die. Even though, wow, this is a build. I actually like this Kislev build a little. Well, I like the concept of this Kislev build a lot. I think it can work. And let me see. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what this guy's bringing to the table. Ooh, spicy. Okay, let's get these army guys off. Ooh, I don't think I switched to back my camera settings, but it's okay. I just won't zoom super hard here. We shall take the blocker off. Oh, we almost crashed. That's okay. So yeah, if we have some waiting time, I might switch back the camera preferences so it's back in regular Total War. It's just easier to keep your camera work consistent that way without having to worry about the zoom, infinite zoom. I do like debug camera for actually playing the game because you get a wide view and you can see your whole army if you really need to. It provides a much larger range of vision and just overall easier to see. So I guess we'll just amp up the cinematic smoothing a little bit. Actually, it's pretty much at its best because if I go anymore, it just becomes like you get a little tripped out, you get a little seasick as you just start sliding around a little too much here. Blocker. Yeah, I think the blocker is kaput. Yeah, that's good. We're fine. Okay, let's start with Lamb Sauce's army. So if we can get the HQ off real quick. We got Tsarina Katerin on a horse with Ice Shard, Ice Maiden's Kiss, Ice Sheet, and Stand Your Ground, and then of course Fire Blood and Frost Shield, the passive. Very good stuff. I believe she only has that one character and then 2 Snow Leopards here. Yeah, see. These Snow Leopards are a little... Oh, God. Okay, the movement's a little too quick here. We might have to dial that in a second. But, 2 Snow Leopards. We have 4 Kossars of the normal variant. 4 Kossars with spears, I believe, unless I'm wrong. No, just 2 of them. And then we have the armored Kossars as the front line as well. For the Cav, we just have 4 Dervishes. Light Cav, good stuff. 2 Winged Lancers, 1 Winged Lancer, and 2 Winged Lancers. I can't see. The differences in their icon are very subtle, but one has a lance, one has sword, so there you go. That pretty much rounds out the very wide build of the Kislevites onto the Tomb Kings, where the king of all rides atop his mighty mount here. Yeah, Cetra the Imperishable. And he has brought just himself with... that's not a Cetra. That's not a Cetra statue. Okay, game, please let me see the Lord. I'm not selecting the Spearman. Crown of Nehekara, Jaf's Incantation, and that seems to be about it. And then, of course, the Unyielding Will AoE good stuff buff. We have 4 Ushabti in total. 3 Ushabti, and then the Chosen of the Gods, Bow Shabti, which is pretty good stuff. We have, of course, the Eyes of the Desert hidden in the sands, waiting for their opportunity to strike. We have a Scream Skull Catapult, then a front line of Skeleton Warriors. 1, 2, 4 regular ones, and 5, it appears, or 4 Spearmen. And then a good old King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. And a little guy I forgot about is a Spirit Leech Deathcaster on a horse. So there you go. The Lich Priest of old. The armies will be approaching here, and let me see if I can tune down this movement. Oh, some dervishes vanguarded in the rear here in the high forest, waiting for the perfect opportunity to rear charge perhaps some skeleton warriors that will actually do pretty good. But by themselves, these dervishes are not actually going to find too much of a home here. They really are probably only going to be good for taking out maybe the artillery, recharging some skeletons, maybe recharging some Ushabti and trying to bog down the Chosen of the Gods. But even the Chosen of the Gods, they will fend off that cav pretty well. I think the Winged Lancers have a good shot at getting a full charge and getting some good damage in there. But Chosen of the Gods are no slouch for like a skirmish unit, 44 melee defense, pretty solid. Pretty solid. Let's see, is the Screaming Skull opening up any salvos? No, it appears not to. It just has gotten in range here. Some trees are obscuring its line of vision if it wants to shoot into some Khazars, but it should have a pretty clear shot of these 2 units here. Yeah, Bow Shabti getting some haggard volleys as they get mostly clipped by this tree here. I'd definitely reposition these guys and try to get a better angle on those. Khazars start to open up their volleys into the Skeleton Warriors. I see no reason for them to approach. I would just keep shooting them. Or just keep shooting the Ushabti if you can. But the Ushabti do have 90 armor, so I think it's actually better bang for your buck to just swing into the Skeleton Warriors you're going to be charging in. The Ushabti combined with the Skeleton Warriors should actually take out those Khazars. In the backfield, we see the swarm happening, but they are doing a little conga line. I hate when units do this, but it is a thing. Front line's going pretty okay, but more importantly, we need to see if these Kislevite mobility can take care of the Screaming Skull Catapult, who is raining hell down upon one of these Winged Lancers. It appears probably the Chosen of the Gods got some good volleys into them. Skeleton Warriors faring alright against the Armored Khazars across the board, but they do have ranged assets that they can pour not only into this engagement, but into the front line as well if they so choose. Snow Leopard's kind of just dinking about. I think you'd probably want to go try to snipe out some high value thing, maybe even have them with this mobility core, just for extra damage, maybe even chase off that Lich Priest. They appear to be kind of in no man's land for a while. There's a lot of positioning, jockeying happening. That's a little odd. This map is very terrain oriented, so you have to be very careful on how you place your army here, because it can very much determine the terms of engagement. And it looks like these guys are chasing down Cetra, but they should probably just attack these Eyes of the Desert at this point. They are taking a lot of good damage from these overwatching firing, yes. The Khazars throwing an Overwatch fire from the back line here. Again, these guys probably need to get out of their little conga formation, go around. The Screaming Skull's already taken care of. You don't want to get stuck in with these. Yeah, these are just Screaming. I thought there was chariots for a second. But you already took care of that. Ushabti will be chopping them up in prolonged, so you don't want to get rid of that. But the HQ of Kislev is very healthy, while mostly tearing apart the front line of the Tomb King's army. But again, oh my god, these haggard charges. Okay, so charging into the Skeleton Warriors is fine, but the backup charge from the Ushabti is dangerous. With the War Sphinx being there, I would definitely get the hell out of dodge. Snow Leopards will do fine if they're surrounding the Ushabti with maybe like a Dervish or a Lancer. But overall, it looks like Kislev is able to shimmy off the most value here. Unfortunately, that's a... Yeah, we can look at the value, and it is almost double for the Kislevites right now. What I do worry about is the Cetra situation, but honestly, with how much ammo all these guys have left, on the right side it's a little more expended because they're still having to deal with the Tomb Guard. Oh, I didn't even realize there was Tomb Guard. My dumbass. First game, doesn't count. My army analysis is perfect, guys. Always on point. Ushabti getting in. It's just looking bad for the mobility and the stronger assets of the Tomb Kings. I think they all got taken out in short order. Katerin definitely has to be careful, but the more she just snipes out the rest of the army while ignoring Cetra, I think the better. Because you can definitely lay in the rest of the harrowing fire from these Kossars at the end of the day. You just don't want her to get caught like this. Ooh. Run, Katerin, run. Because, oh, that breath is dealing some sweet damage to her booty. Cetra does not play. He's the imperishable. He does not die. Oh, that was a sad charge. That Snow Leopard tried to charge and it ran into the catapult instead. Oh. Deathcaster on his last legs. A lot of the dervishes coming back, but pretty haggard. The left flank going less smooth for Kislev, but still, I would say pretty favored here just because of all the assets. I don't think these Ushabti have... Yeah, these are not summoned Ushabti. So I don't think we've seen the summoned Ushabti unless I missed it. So that could be a late game play that could potentially get a Lord Snipe or something. If the Tomb Kings can get a Lord Snipe, they could potentially crawl their way back in with Terror. And the strength of just the punching power of these Ushabti. But really, all these ranged assets are going to be proven very difficult for Cetra to deal with over the course of a drawn-out battle. Just because they have 12 ammunition, they can definitely kill him like 3 times over with that amount of ammo. And I just don't see the infantry clearing power left on the board for the Tomb Kings. The Kossars, again, could terror route very well. Maybe get... I don't know. I don't think Terror actually procs... Maybe Terror does proc your Buyer Blood. So, I mean, that could be something. But still, we would need Zarina to die and probably the Snow Leopards to die as well. They are armor piercing, so cycle charging Cetra will prove effective. But yeah, the Tomb Kings are pretty much... they're pretty much out of here at this point. It is a tragic fact, but I don't know where that Ushabti summon went, if there was one that was used. Not exactly sure what happened there, but I think overall the engagement on the Tomb Kings, you just need to be a little more patient and probably adjust yourself to get some good volleys with those Screaming Skulls and Ushabti Chosen of the Gods. Simply put, because you need some value before the Kislevites came in and started bogging down all your shit. So, GG to the lads. Oh, I wanted to save that replay. Okay, I'll go save that afterwards. And I'll probably change my camera as well. Hey, yo. How you doing, Mr. Casual? And Black and Umbrella. Blocker. Alright. So, yeah, just not a ton of value overall here. The Chosen of the Gods got absolutely wrecked. Screaming Skull Catapult didn't do very much, and I guess he just had one little Tomb Guard to trick me in there, and he got okay value. He was probably pushing that left flank offensive most of the time. And yeah, just good value overall from the Kossars, and they mostly paid for themselves, yeah, somewhat. One of them did. But the Snow Leopards are good pressure. There's mostly this cab pressure that was pretty insane. Low value, but the stakes were pretty high, and they did get some good surround and pin of all the important Tomb Kings assets. So very good. Looks like the game is over. I'm going to put up the blocker real quick, unless we have a game immediately ready. Let's see. Nurgle's Hot Yoga Studio. So, okay, it looks like not quite yet. we will... Blood Penguin or Religious when you finish good here. I got a spec slot already. Okay, yeah. So let me just reset my camera settings real quick and then also save that autosave. And I'll be right back, guys. We'll just put a the stream start thing real quick here. Exit the game. We're going to go to our little preferences. Well, first go to the replays and go Kislev versus TK. There we go. And then let's go to the preferences or scripts. The good old scripts file, wherever that is. I think we can just go from there. Scripts, preferences. Let's go down to the default camera type and type in Total War, or 0 for Total War, Control S for save. And we are launching Total War right now. Getting back into it, but that was a good first game. Definitely a little warm-up game for both me and the players there. I think the positioning was key on that point. But we are getting into the second round, I believe. And once we get into the second round, I'm not sure if that's... I think that's going to be the semifinals. My brain can't do math real quick. So we will have to see. Go check out the bracket in a second. Yoga Studio. We'll just hop in here and wait while we go check out what the bracket's looking like. And I'm just also going to take a bite of food because I need some breakfast, boys. I'll be right back. Okay. My mouth may be full with food, but we are going to go and look here. So we got Fat Kid at Recess versus the Lamb Sauce. Lamb Sauce continues onward. He will be in the semifinals. After Booge and Blood Penguin, though, that is technically the round one or the game before the bye with Umbrella. So we'll technically be doing a round one with Umbrella and the winner of whoever wins Booge and Blood Penguin's game. So stay tuned for that, boys. Yeah. We're seeing Umbrella, I believe, bring the Coog ass. He's gonna be playing Nurgle today. Pretty classic Umbrella shenanigans, if I do say so myself. Let's see what other blockers we got. We can spice this up here. We will grab, I don't know, what are you guys feeling today? What are we feeling? We could put the orc gif up if we're feeling gify. We'd have the sad Premier dad, but I think the orc one's pretty good. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Excellent. And yes. Say pirates. You want pirates. Do I have a pirate? Do I have a pirate? I don't know if I have a pirate screen blocker. Not exactly sure. Not quite sure I have that in stock, but you know what? We'll go check. Screw it. It's time for innovation. Maybe I should go find a pirate one. Oh, you know what? I do have a pirate one. Hold on. There we go. Oops. This will be a pirate. Oh yeah, you asked for a pirate. I'll give you a pirate. Oh my god, this thing is so huge. Holy shit. That is what she said. All right, there you go. Excellent. What is the... Yeah, I'm gonna go a little below the little marking of the image there. There you go. There's a pirate for you. Da freebooters. Yep. That is good old God, I forgot the name of the mercenary like lord for the orcs. I actually played him in 40K a couple times. And he's like a support character, but he actually has a really good amount of damage too. Because he uses the same gun that Flash gets do. But like upgraded. So he has this like he can also overcharge it so it deals like extra damage, but it has a less hit percentage chance, I think. So in 40K games you can just set him with a bunch of flash kits and just dock the hell out of everything. And then yeah, this image is actually from Dawn of War 2, which is a really fun game in my opinion. I do like it. It just has some bugs and it's very old. But I would definitely recommend it as an OG RTS. It's pretty good stuff. Same with Dawn of War 1. I really like Dawn of War 1. I just think from like a battle and tactics perspective, I actually think I like 2 better. I think 1 is more of a macro building economy manager, whereas 2 is like definitely heavy on the tactics and micro and little decisions that make up the differences in a battle, which I personally like, just enjoy. As you can tell, because I enjoy land battles, and that's pretty much what land battles is. All right, looks like Plague Penguin has joined us. People still play Last Stand and some multiplayer now. Yeah, there's actually a huge multiplayer community for that thing, but it's not for vanilla. It's because this thing called Dawn of War 2 Elite Mod, and I wouldn't say huge, but it's like they're very active, and I would say like a lot of people are actually like decently fun to play with in that community, but there is some people who are not kind to newer players. So if you end up going to Elite Mod, just make it very clear that you are a noob, otherwise they will absolutely eat you alive. Like, just, it's kind of toxic, but it is what it is. It's an older community with, a lot of vetted up people who just are at a level that is far beyond, like, any new player's potential, Gonna snag another bite here real quick. All right. So the matchup will be Karl Franz versus the dreaded Kugusi Plague Daddy. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. Empire versus Nurgle, baby. Let's go. Let's go. I think that depending on interesting. This could be an interesting fight. I haven't seen this particular matchup a ton since the patch, especially, which I guess hasn't changed a ton, but Empire's always dangerous if they decide to play kite. I have the war wagons. They have some pretty good cavalry, and they have very decent skirmish as well. The only thing that like really truly scares Nurgle though is like I would say just mass like not mass archer fire, but you need some way to kill the Kugus, and now that you know he's coming, you gotta definitely bring some answers to the boy, because he will just grind through anything, and even a buffed up Karl Franz will not be able to take down the Kugusi mano just because he has so much HP. It's a little bit of bullshit. I think he is a little strong, but you also pay an absolute metric shit ton for him, and he's on a roster that's fairly limited. So if it was to be anything, he is like perfectly placed on the roster that like would need him, right? I'm going to get heavy circles. Good luck, have fun, bros. Heavy circles. Yes. Also can't be hit. Yeah, there is like a bug, I think, where occasionally like foot characters, I think, just can't hit this guy. Um, he just like becomes immortal for a while, unhittable. He has the Valkia like shield of invincibility or whatever. Cause I think he just there's some kind of glitch. Oh God, is the okay? Both times the game's almost like has threatened to crash on me. You know, I don't know why, but it is what it is. We're loading in. These are two pretty spicy armies. Excited for it. Okay. So I'm just like devouring my breakfast and sipping on tea while we spectate here because I am a hungry hippo, you know. I need the food. The sustenance. It is where I derive my power. Yeah, so this should be an interesting matchup. I think Plague Penguin, aka Blood Penguin, aka Carl of Friends Penguin, is very much a good player. Has a lot of good micro and game knowledge sense. Same with Umbrella, and he's very knowledgeable and experienced in the good old Nurgle department. So we'll see what they do here with the Cap Point mod game here. I think Kugusi is typically I don't say favored because Empire can bring a lot of like stuff that can kill him late game in terms of skirmish and single entities, but I think Nurgle just has an easier time of it. I think you, as the Empire, are put on the impetus to go and kill the big fat man, whereas Nurgle doesn't really have to care to be pressured that much. And I will say in the Cap Point mod, I am almost surprised we didn't see maybe some cannons from the Empire here just to get that pressure on the Kugath. But seeing as how many dogs and horses there are, that would be a lot of pressure to ward off as well if you were bringing artillery. Okay. I do want to let these guys set up because it seems like they're setting up pretty quick. Let's see if we can go over at least the HQ of Blood Penguin, aka Franz Penguin, aka Plague Penguin. He has so many names, dude. I don't know. Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, Regular Noonfang. These are all classic things. And Gone Mirage is the classic buffed up Carl, like almost full kitted out. We have the Jade Wizard on foot with his good old Power Stone, Regrowth, and Earthblood, and of course the Life Bloom passive. That is it for the HQ. For the good old cavalry department, we have some Demigryph with lances. Okay, no anti-large halberds here. One Outrider and then two Empire Knights on the flanks here. Yes. And for the main force, we have 4 swordsmen, 3 spearmen, and 2 huntsmen. Alrighty. That rounds out the Plague Penguin. Going on to the Umbrella, of course, we have the Fat Man himself. What a Chad. Oh, get a nice armpit scratch for us there. We have Fleshy Abundance. That's pretty much the only active thing he brought. Has the Nurgling Infestation, which heals all the Nurglings above. But again, kind of a thing that comes with him in Arcane Conduit. I think that can be selected off, but he has chosen to keep it. So that's all his HQ, and that's definitely all the HQ you really want to bring if you do bring him, because he's a walloping almost, 1,000, 3.2k, like, easily. Even with one spell, we have 4 Marauder Horsemen of Nurgle, 2 of the Chaos Warhounds, with poison, of course, because they're Nurgle, and 1 Chosen. Oh, I didn't expect the Chosen. Look at these boys. Yes, very good, very good. Nurgle units definitely look pretty cool. Their armor is pretty dope indeed. I do wish they're a little more bloated. Like, it's kind of interesting in the Medieval 2 mod that converts Medieval 2 into Warhammer. They have Chosen, and like, if you upgrade the Chosen with, like, you know, chevrons and stuff, they actually change. Like, legitimately, they go from, like, these guys to, like, bloated, and they have, like, these pussy, like, kind of, like, arms that come off. It's really cool, and for a mod, it's pretty intense for an old-ass game like that. 5 Nurglings in the front, and then it looks like 2 Forsaken, 1 being the Demon Spew, the good old Munipsychology. What is the difference here? Now that they actually have Nurgle, like, Forsaken. Oh, Swarm of Flies. Okay, not Cloud of Flies, Swarm of Flies, I see. So it's an additional debuff here of -5 melee attack. I was like, what is going on? Yeah, okay. And Carl's going to be out here poking and prodding. Looks like Kugath is going to be firing off a salvo into some swordsmen. Will Carl get right in the way, or did he end up just whiffing there? Looks like, yep, he's chucking something out of his gut. Little nurgling fella. Yep, goes screaming into right in the middle of the swordsman. God, that was a dead hit. Gross. Kugus should play in the MLB, because Jesus, he is pitching 100 for 100 here. Psych, that was awful. You're trash. 50% garbage. But yeah, those volleys can be devastating. That's why it's like interesting. On this map, I would understand why you wouldn't want to bring artillery against Kugusi, because he can basically just arc fire from wherever, and cannons will not be able to shoot at all over this hill or over these like trees and stuff. It's very mountainous and treacherous terrain, so it is actually probably the correct call to not bring any stationary artillery here. That might just not benefit at all from proper usage of the terrain by Nurgle here. Look at the good old flanking forces. I think, okay, the other flanking forces for Nurgle are just kind of chilling back here, not going as wide, but these guys have plenty of room to space out and start pressuring the back line. Nurglings hopping into the front line with a damaged swordsman. They might actually put up a decent fight, but they're chasing off the huntsman, which is a good shout, pressure them. But now some Demigryph with lances are coming in to absolutely finish off these Nurglings on the charge, and they should do great damage. Yep, just obliterate them where they stand. Carl and the Demigryphs are charging into the Chosen, which is a good shout because the Chosen do not have immune to psychology, and they're probably the highest priority target in this army at the moment, aside from Kugusi. Obviously, the Marauder Horsemen and Nurgle are a big factor as well, but you're going to need to try to get these Huntsmen on there. But the Chaos Warhounds are just compromising them immediately. This Empire army is just a little too reactive right now, and they're not able to protect everything from all these hounds. The Huntsmen, unfortunately, get compromised. Empire Knights definitely needed to attack and countercharge these Warhounds where they could. Pretty much kill them or round them off in like one charge. Demigryph Knights, again, charging into the infantry here. Good shout for the Chosen, but again, they will be getting healed by Kugas, who has been sitting in the backfield pretty much all game, firing from his glorious throne of Pestilence. The Demon Spew are isolated, and if they continue to be isolated, they could potentially be routed off. But more importantly, the Outriders haven't gotten their value. The Huntsmen have been getting routed off. As long as Plague Penguin can actually get rid of all the pressuring factors in the Warhounds and the Marauder Horsemen to a degree, he'll have a lot better time of trying to focus down the rest of these Nurgle units. The Swordsmen prevailing against the Nurglings over a period of time, especially after they got charged by that big-ass Demigryph Knight. Empire Knights coming to swamp up and clean up those Warhounds, and now it's just a contestment of these Marauder Horsemen, who are definitely going to be charging into melee and finish off those Huntsmen for sure. Spearmen zoning out the Marauder Horsemen. It's much better that these guys get the axes to the face than the Outriders or any of the cavalry units. We do have a Jade Wizard to support them if they do take some damage, but they cannot resurrect models, so you got to be very careful with those high DPS axes that those Marauders can throw. Demon Spew will eventually grind through Spearmen, no problem, so these guys will need to be dealt with, but the front line of Nurgle is crumbling. Kugusi has been chilling in the back line, not making his presence very well known. With the actual pressure of the Huntsmen and Outriders being just kind of pushed away, Kugus might have had a fine time just charging in and kind of mortising down some of these swordsmen or frontline units of Empire, because now the Empire have actually kind of rallied in terms of their mobility. They are still down on value, however, they still have very strong assets left. They have their Jade Wizard, they have their Demigryph Knights, Karl is full health, and there's not a lot of mobility left for Nurgle. We just have the good old Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, which can wallop quite the punch, but they are low on ammo. I mean, a lot of these Marauder Horsemen, I think, come with like, what is it, like 10 ammo? Like something northward of that. It's not a lot of ammo for the good old Axe Boys, but that's because they have such high damage potential when they're throwing their volleys. Kugath kind of trying to catch Karl, but there's no way in hell he's going to do that unless you like Curse of the Slug and maybe 2 or 3 other debuffs. But it's sad that Karl has to run away while Galmaraz is popped, although it does last quite a while. 13 more seconds on Galmaraz, you can get some damage out of it if he charges into these Forsaken perhaps. Looks like what he's doing. He's surrounded by his Demigryphs. The Marauder Horsemen have 3 more volleys, still pretty good, still can chunk down either Karl or these Outriders, Cav, whatever you want. But they're just running low on ammo. They can be used in melee, and they're pretty good in melee. They got decent melee defense for a skirmish unit, as does most of the Nurgle's kind of theme here. Demigryph Knights charging in here, but again, we are going to be seeing the issue, the late game issue of how do you deal with Kugusi, because we have the mobility basically shut off not basically shut off for Nurgle, but we don't have any punching power a ton left in the mobility, but we also don't have a lot of skirmish left for the Empire. And Franz can cycle charge all he wants in this game mode, but I don't even know if that's enough, particularly to take down the Kugusi, especially when he's surrounded by his fellow Nurgle Cretans. He will just pull stuff out of his gut, slam into Franz. Oh, he's kind of wigging out, trying to get that caster, looks like, down, because the caster actually is very important. Where is this caster? He is just underneath. He's physically getting like ran over by Kugath all the time. There he is. He needs to stay routed in order for Kugusi to basically seal this deal. And the Outriders need to empty almost all of their volleys into Kugath. The remaining 11 need to definitely go to his face, because he has a shit ton of health and also shit ton of magic potential if he still has a Fleshy Abundance, which he does, it looks like. Because the Jade Wizard was routed, he can't be casting that, so Fleshy Abundance. Going to be healing all these units back up pretty much, except for the Demon Spew, back to fullish, which is going to be absolutely disgusting for Empire to deal with. Again, you don't want to see Nurgle up on Balance of Power, or not up Balance of Power. Well, you don't want to see him Balance of Power, but you also don't want to see him up on Value either, because it means that they still have a lot of healing to go through, and they're currently beating you as well. So usually, like, a Nurgle game can be won by a Nurgle player who has equal to even lesser value than the opponent. But when you have more value, it means you really are quite ahead. Karl Franz, with his mobility, is just not going to have the punching power to deliver the final death sentence to the Kugas at this point. If he can wipe out the rest of the chaff miraculously, but I don't think you have any offensive magic to do so. Doesn't have a large explosion, which would be hilarious if you could empty a large explosion right into here. If you had like a, if Foot of Gork was still good, obviously. A Foot of Gork would be glorious, or a Pit of Shades if you had a Grey Wizard, a Shadow Wizard. But it just appears, yeah, just wait in the semifinals. I would like to cast one of the semifinals games, so if both games are being played, I would like one of them to wait, at least. So, yeah. Kugath has healing, and Mortis Karl no longer has his life mage. Precisely. It is looking dire for the Empire. They still have all their important pieces, but it's just not going to be enough to clean up all this chaff. If it was just Kugus left, I would say they have a pretty fair shout. I would say that actually Karl would be able to pull it off because he could inundate Kugas with some other units and then cycle charge over and over again, popping Golem Miraz, getting some shots in with the Outriders. But Kugas just has a little army of minions that are tanky as hell. I mean, these are chosen, you know? These are like, 75% health chosen. So it's really, it's kind of, it is over at this point. And the points have been ticking away, but again, hopefully these don't have to come into play. But now that Umbrella's realized he's hit the stage where he can't really chase Plague Penguin's army, he's going to go sit on this point, keep it contested, and try to, oh, let's see, this triple, I've never seen this before, the triple? What is that? Okay, that just means he was capping it very quickly, I believe. Okay, and we got the Knights contesting, trying to keep the point from moving here, but frankly, you just can't really stop this Nurgle army. And the Nurgle army doesn't have to do anything at this point. You can just sick Kugusi with his ammo and try to shoot down the Outriders, and then pretty much whatever else is left. And as long as he's chilling on this point, there's no real reason for him to move at this stage of the game. Karl Franz doing a cycle charge, coming in to slap some Nurglings, but it's not going to matter, even with all his debuffs and his cool blood roars and fancy schmancy Empire shit. Will not be enough for the Nurgle death blob. Bronzy's getting some Marauder Horsemen out of the way, and the Demigryph Knights coming in here. But essentially, it's game over, boys. I think that's game. We can just kind of watch the cinematics from here as Karl attempts his last hurrah. God, all those effects are a bit ridiculous. This is so misty. His roar causes the secret mist to come out. But Kugas slamming some poo down on Karl's face as Deathclaw bites and tears at his throne. But it is just not going to be enough. Kugas may even take some damage here, but Karl is a Chad. A true Chad. It's just a lot of HP. I will say he's putting up a lot better fight than I thought he would. And Kugas is actually running for his little life. It looks like, okay, nope, he's fighting. Yep. And the continued fight and grind of the Empire is coming to a halt. Rear charge by the Empire Knights. Very good stuff. And they're going to be running away. It's really too bad there's no magic. God, if he had like a Dwellers Below or something, imagine if he brought a Dwellers Below. Oh. What does Kugas keep in that cage? You know, I don't know. He keeps, it looks like a bunch of Nurglings. It's just a little Nurgling. So all of his, like, various, like, sacks and, contraptions here have just a bunch of either deceased Nurglings or very inanimate Nurglings. One of the cage, I think the cage ones actually do move. Yeah, they look like they rock their heads back and forth. They're trying to get out. Which is hilarious, because it's like, I think you'd be pretty happy just chilling in the cage. You know, just having a good old time. Okay. GG. Oh, and it's not going to let me... Okay, cool, great. Well, we'll go save that in the files, but let's look at the value for now. Kugath, excuse me, getting 4K value. Easy money, baby. We have a 1,400 value chosen, which actually, I don't think that pays for itself. I think it's 1,500, I believe. So almost paying for itself, which is good enough. They did its job. Very good Demon Spew. The other Forsaken did absolute work. These guys were excellent pressure. The Hounds did real nice work. One of them paying for themselves, but just pressure is enough for these units to try to get the Skirmish and Cav moving and out of place for the Empire. Karl did work, but unfortunately he just didn't have too many good targets. I mean, he tried to dive in on the Chosen. They got healed. Trying to fend off the Marauder Horsemen with Nurgle is dangerous because they'll just throw axes in your face. And there just wasn't a ton of counter skirmish to get these guys off, even though in the end he was able to secure his important units. You really need these Huntsmen alive at the end of the day. At least one of these guys would have been crucial to try to whittle down the big Plague Daddy at the end there. GG. GG's indeed. That was a fun game, fun bout. And I'm going to sip some water here, and then I think we go on to... I think Black just hopped in the lobby. So let's get our screen blocker up. Okay. Let's see. What is the Discord saying to me? For the semis, spec slot open, 1250. Okay, we can go to strat game to spice it up here. Let's go to the strat here. Copy. Bam. With code. Yep. Spectate. Bada bing, bada boom. And now we are joining the Straticus Maximus versus the Lamb Sauce King. So Katerin versus who was he playing? Let's see. Strat is playing Ikit Claw. Lord he's very familiar with. Plays on a multitude of matchups when he plays as Skaven. Very good with them as well. We'll see how the Katerin and her Kislev army fares. But if I had to throw out a early game prediction, a pre-game prediction even, I would say that the Skaven might have an advantage due to Strat's experience. But that being said, you never know. And this is a game, so it has to be played in order to find out who will really prevail on the field of battle. So, we are seeing pretty classic setup here for the Skaven. We got a little Doom squad of heroes. And for Katerin, she has, it seems, a Patriarch, which I would assume has the good old healing lullaby of regeneration. Sing him a lullaby, and you just get all your wounds start closing up. I don't know if it works like that for you, but it definitely works like that for me. We'll go over the rats first in case, let's see if he starts moving them, but I think we can go over Ikit real quick. We got Brass Orb, Unlimited Power, very good spell. Cleansing Rune, also very good spell. The Unlimited Power is an ability, but it can give you a lot of winds of magic if you are fortunate and don't take a shit ton of damage from it. We have a Chieftain just for some melee support, and then I believe we have the Packmaster for the heal per second around him to give. I believe the Chieftain is just Molder Monsters. Yep, Molder Monsters. So Ikit will not be getting healed, but the Chieftain will be. And for the rest of the Skaven build, we have 4 Rat Ogres, 4 Night Runners, 3 Globes, and then a bunch of Skaven shitters. So we have Clan Rat with spears and shields for those guys. And that pretty much rounds out the build for Strat Skaven. Moving on to the good old Lamb Sauce King. He has an HQ of Katerin, of course. We got Standing Ground and Heart of Winter, very good spell. Arcane Conduit and the automatic Fire Blood. For the Patriarch, we have Dobbs Brazier. Okay, Brazier, the healing passive if in melee, and of course the Ciliax Lullaby for that good healing. We have 2 Snow Leopards, 4 Wing Lancers, if I remember correctly. Nope, 2 Wing Lancers, 4 Wing Lancers, and then 4 Calcified Dervishes. Very nice. And then we have an Infantry Corps of 5 Kossars, no armored, and 3 Kossars with spears, and we're moving up. So I believe, yeah, allied troop count, enemy troop count. Yeah, so we're looking at a very similar in numbers build, which is funny because Skaven usually outnumber their opponent heavily, but Kislev is another one of those factions that loves to flood the board with their cheap, semi-cheap infantry that have multi-use purpose, right? Like, they're just good at doing multiple things, so if you can make use of their versatility you'll be getting the best out of the Kislev roster. The early cap by the hero squad of Ikit and the boys. It looks like he popped unlimited power, probably. He took a little damage. Unless he cast a spell, but it doesn't look like Cleansing Rune was cast anywhere, so he probably just got a little bit of damage from trying to get all that power. And the Rat Ogres being chilling on the hill with the Gutter Runners. The thing about the cap point mod is whoever has the point can kind of try to dictate the terms of engagement. 2 Snow Leopards coming in to retake the point here and keep it even Steven, so that the rats have some reason to engage. Now, there is a lot of mobility going on. I'm surprised he managed to sneak all his dervishes behind. Oh god, game, no, I did not want to double tap to them. Ooh, so very good volleys on the initial Kossars here. Once they get close, though, those Night Runners will be doing some good damage, and the Rat Ogre is going to be charging in, smashing into these Kossars, unwarranted, basically. We have the Wing Lancers coming in for the charge. Now, the issue is that they're fighting some terror-causing monsters, and they'll probably have their By Their Blood procced pretty quickly once the terror sets in. I'm not sure if that actually procs it, but I'm pretty sure it does, because it counts as routing, so yeah. Zarina and the Patriarch coming in to attack the Rat Ogres, which is not a bad shout. You could maybe get these guys routed off, especially with some volleys here and there. Again, more Winged Lancers and a rear charge. Ooh, this is a beautiful rear charge. These guys need to charge. Charge. No, you're just doing movement. No. Okay, well, so they definitely need to start charging these guys. That was going to be so epic and cinematic, but unfortunately they are getting their stuff in there now. Very good stuff. Very good surround. Good Heart of Winter by Zarina and the Patriarch, but the Patriarch is being isolated. He and his bear need to get the hell out of dodge and go back into the safety of these Wing Lancers and these Kossars. The rest of the army needs to pull up for Kislev pretty quickly so they can bring in those volleys into the Poison Winds, into the Clan Rats, to get all of these guys down while they can. Cleansing Ruin going down, dealing some good damage to Zarina. The Patriarch manages to get out. He isn't on a bear, he's on a horse. Same with Zarina, so they will be a little less tanky and effective in combat against these large single entities. And really, as Kislev, you have to get rid of the rest of this army quick. These Snow Leopards can do the job, but I think you still want to focus on the Poison Winds, focus on the rest of the army here. These guys are routing, and they could potentially shatter if these dervishes are sent back and cycle charge over and over. Kossars, again, can be firing in, but a crucial engagement here. Zarina needs to get back into the kill box here, where these guys can fire upon this Packmaster with only 40 armor. Zarina should not be going in the back of this army. We have a Chieftain and we have Ikit, who can basically come back and surround her, so she needs to get the hell out of dodge yet again. Ooh, but there's the isolation of these Rat Ogres could be prove very good for the Snow Leopards. They will basically probably terror out. Do they have terror? They can't terror out them, but they'll do good enough damage that probably rout them off, as the Rat Ogres are named after. It looks like the Packmaster's trying to get to Zarina, but getting bogged down and actually routing almost. Now the Kossars really need to shoot into this Packmaster. Shoot. Because, ooh, okay, shooting Ikit. If they can get a pick on Ikit, this would be huge. The Chieftain needs to do something. He's forced to respond. A lot of damage going into him too. Snow Leopards are just hounding Ikit. Or just the gods. They will hunt him till the end of the earth. But they are getting bogged down, and this is another situation that being in the backfield of the Skaven is dangerous. If you can get rid of these Clan Rat Spears and keep these guys from... that was an interesting Heart of Winter. Unfortunately, that Heart of Winter did not hit everything. I'm not sure if that... Okay, it did get hit by these guys, so these guys are going to take some damage. And it's almost a full rout for the Skaven at this point in the game. Holy shit, I did not expect this. I think the Dervishes' play was insane. I mean, they just got right into the back of the Skaven line, unimpeded, and was able to deal a gnarly rear charge downhill below to the entire Skaven force, infantry-wise, debilitating them a lot and leaving a lot of this back line of the Kislevites safe and secure. the Packmaster's going to go for the Zarina Snipe, but if you can see, Snow Leopards, I think, are going for a Icket. Are they going to get a Flensing Rune on them? No, they're not, because Icket's about... Yes, they do! Icket gets one last charge off, or one last cast off, and the Packmaster is running away. Again, Zarina needs to come back, circle... yeah, this thing is 95 speed, okay? Zarina is not going to outrun it. Zarina needs to go back into the Arc of Fire so that the Packmaster can get shot. Oh my god, mini nuke for the good old Icket. Sadly, he is defeated. Kislev versus Skaven. Semis. Oh, come on, you piece of crap. I hate this game when it does that shit. Come on, guys. Come on, CA, let me fucking do replays. Thank you. Jesus. Okay, Kislev versus Skaven. There we go. Thank the Lord. You can go into the files and correct that shit. Alright. Tsarina Katerin. 2,000 value. Really good shit. Patriarch doing very well for themselves. Wing Lancers did what they did. They bogged up. The Rat Ogres kept them busy even though they were losing. And the Snow Leopards did an excellent job of sniping out the Skaven characters. 3 Kossars and 4... Or 3 Kossars with spears, 5 regular Kossars, and 4 Kossarite dervishes. So... that is just a actually very potent build up against this kind of smaller, not smaller, but more condensed force of the Skaven. We see 3 globes, but yeah, the globes being mitigated was huge. The globes not being able to deal their damage was huge. New Skaven counter confirmed. Wow, how have I never seen that nuke before? Yeah, so like when Icket dies on his Doom Wheel, I think it's even if he dies not on his Doom Wheel, he will let off an explosion that does a good amount of damage. So you actually want to be kind of far away when he does it. And I'm not sure if it's a guaranteed thing. It might be a percentage chance that he actually blows himself up. Not entirely sure. But yeah, the hero squad for the Skaven were completely mitigated by that counter snipe build of the Kislev. I mean, the Snow Leopards and the ranged pressure from this mass archer build was just too much for the Skaven to deal with. I believe, if I'm not wrong, okay, so the best of 3 is coming up then. So it's not the semis, that's a best of 3. I thought this was a best of 3, but it would make sense because there's only one Lord, or you'd only collect 1 Lord at this point. So the best of 3s will be in the finals. Umbrella will be fighting Black, and I'm not sure if they have waited for us. I mean, perhaps they did. Okay. So we can hop in here, get another game. So we're going to see the Kugus versus Imrik, I would assume. Yep. I mean, I didn't see it right there, but I know what Black plays. He's a good old Imrik filthy high elf mains. Let's see what we can switch up this this build here. Let's go with the good old Slan eating some food, because that's how I feel at the moment. Yes. Oh, it's about ready. So it doesn't even matter. Because we're about to get off the screen anyways. There we go. Bam. Okay. So they were waiting and ready for us. Excellent. It's time to dive right in. Again, we're seeing the Kugus, and we are seeing Imrik for the first time casted in this tournament. And we're seeing a heavy single entity force by the Nurgle. And of course, the classic Archer, Dragon Prince, and Spear build from the High Elves. That tea is so good. Alright. Man, I even took like this like antihistamine like medication for my like nose, and it just continues to plug up. Like I swear it's like a curse. Like, and the guys like in the late night crew, and if you've ever been in voice chat with me, most of the time my nose is not like particularly super plugged, but like it is just a streamer curse. Like anytime I stream, My nasal passages know and they close. And it's like, I I hate it so much. It's like just the worst fucking thing ever. But we persevere even through Nurgle's afflictions because he is clearly breaking the fourth wall here and infecting me with his goodies. So, if we can go over the HQ of Nurgle, we have the classic Fleshy Abundance and Arcane Conduit. The rest comes naturally to the Kugus. We have a Exalted Hero on horseback and with nothing in particular. Festering Shroud, so missile resistance, which is actually pretty good if you're just chilling next to the Kugusi or any one of these Soul Grinders that you want to protect from various High Elf Archer units. We have 5 or 4 Nurglings, we have 1 Chosen, we have 2 Marauders, and then we have the Demon Spew. Yeah, so that is a pretty hefty melee force, but also a tiny one, just so we can have the double Soul Grinders for that juicy ranged pressure. Moving on to the High Elf build, we have good old Imric on Milith. Oh, I don't even know what that dragon's name is. I'm not gonna pretend I know Elven dragon names. But he has the Lord of Dragons and the Dragon Horn, which causes fear and melee attack, basically map wide for High Elf units, which is pretty insane. We do have a Mage Caster with just Earthblood and Life Bloom, pretty classic stuff, and no Book of Hoeth, but still pretty good item in my ability to speak my opinion. I think it's a pretty good item. We have 2 Dragon Princes, one being the Fireborn, fire-resistant Dragon Princes. We have 2 Archers, 2 Lothern Sea Guard, and then just 4 to 5 Spearmen. No Silverin Guard here to see. And I think we have 2 Illyrians. Yep, 2 Illyrian Reavers, the melee variant, just for some side pressure to maybe get into the rear of this Nurgle formation. Not exactly sure what their place is. I guess they mow down Nurglings, and they can be roadblocks in case, Imric gets trapped up in some sort of situation. They can come and try to bail him out of trouble. But Imric Targaryen rides to war as the Nurgle move up, trying to get those Soul Grinders in formation here. Soul Grinders, very gross. Very gross looking 40k unit. I can't wait to see if we get a Total War 40k would be pretty cool. They'd have to redo a lot of the systems. I think you'd have to do smaller squads and stuff and kind of revamp the whole Total War aspect of it, but I think it'd be very fun nonetheless on this engine. Like, it's such a cool engine. The realism, the fights, that actually, like, physicality of the map plays into it. Like, if you get a downhill charge, you still actually get more benefit of that if you weren't charging downhill, like with cavalry and such. So I like how there's a physics engine. I think that the squad combat would have to be revamped in order for 40k to work thematically here. Gonna see some salvos from the good old Soul Grinders. Guaranteed these guys would be just the same probably though. Perfectly reusable assets. Oh god, really good. Black trying to juke here, but the Lothern Sea Guard just not quick enough to actually move out of the way of high speed, nasty Nurgle vomit artillery. We're going to see pressure from the Soul Grinders all game, so the High Elves are going to have to move up with a hastiness here if they don't want to take too much damage while they are moving in. But the Fireborn, Illyrian Reavers, and the other flanking cavalry are going to be moving across the hills to keep that line of sight of these Soul Grinders at bay so they don't get any cheeky shots into their high-value cavalry. And the Soul Grinders are going to retreat a little bit, so perhaps they can get more shots on these archers while they wait for the approach of the High Elves. This is one strategy that is stronger in Cap Point, is that armies aren't necessarily forced to move towards each other. Now, I think in regular land battle, you can mitigate that by attacking in a very similar vein. So, really not a ton is lost, but because the maps have to be larger due to other factors that we want to mitigate with the mod, it can make approaching very punishing, even though very similar situations would happen in regular land battle as well. So, Dragon Prince is lining up the rear charges as we speak. Spearmen, not sure if they're actually going to engage, but we do need to deal with these soul grinders. I'm surprised he let loose a volley of breath onto these demon spew. Got a good amount of kills here, and Imric is going to be charging in here. I don't know if this is a bait or if this is just a little cheeky charge and run, and he's just going to waddle through, attack the Nurglings, and then probably waddle the hell out, or if he's going to turn around and fight. That would be interesting as well. Getting these bounding charges with multiple units in him, he is going to get some good damage, but the Exalted here is going to swarm him, and then we're going to see some Dragon Princes try to exploit the bunched up units that are on Imric. Very good strat with some single entity flyers, especially dragons and other powerful entities like this. You can pretty much bait them for the enemy army to swarm them with infantry or cavalry, and then try to get a cycle charge or an exploiting rear charge yourself, due to them having to respond to the threat that you present them. That being said, Kugas is coming in. The Exalted here has been laying some good DPS on Imric. He now needs to waddle away. I would say that the Soul Grinder and everything being present, he's going to get a lot of damage put on him. And no, I'd keep the Dragon Princes in there just a little bit so Imric can waddle away. And then I would charge again if you can. Lyrian Reavers here, front line going okay, but the front line of the High Elves is always meant to hold, not necessarily kill, so they're going to do their job and just keep the front line busy. Archers have been firing down upon the Soul Grinder, getting some good DPS, bringing them almost half health, but that will be regenerated by a good fleshy abundance if necessary. All these archers still somewhat alive after surviving some of the volleys of the Soul Grinders. Soul Grinders jumped into melee, so they didn't have time to fire, but now they're getting some damage back onto the skirmish component of the High Elves. Dragon Prince is coming again, got a little blunted charge because they charged right into Imric's butt, and instead of smashing heavily into these Nurglings, they kind of trickled in. The Fireborn coming in for a much cleaner charge, though, can deal some very good damage onto the Nurglings and onto the Soul Grinder. A part of me thinks that like Nurgle should take like extra damage from fire, but having the whole faction be weak to fire would prove very brutal. Even for the tanky Nurg, I think it would be pretty rough. But there's a part of me that is like, man, like all these little fucks are regenerating. They're all like fleshy and just like gross. And typically that kind of like theme is usually countered by fire in fantasy games, shows, settings in general. The High Elf Mage of Life is just big chillin' here. He should probably come out so he can get some healing on the Dragon Princes and Imric. The front line of the good old Nurg is actually falling to these high melee defense spearmen in combination with the archers raining down. The Nurglings expected to lose, but the Demon Spew, after taking some serious damage from good old Imric's breath attack, will probably fall here. The issue being more so is that the Chosen of Nurgle is still pretty healthy. Soul Grinder, yes, a threat, but can be dealt with Imric in the late game. It's more so these Chosen just really, I'm not seeing what you're going to do against them particularly. I guess you can cycle charge with the Fireborn and Dragon Princes and hope for the best. But perhaps maybe you isolate Kugathi. This might be a trap. Kugath is very good at mortising things down. And perhaps you just want to try to finish this Exalted hero who just got Fleshy Abundance cast on him, or I guess this whole blob rather did. And he is going to be getting his HP right back up there. Imric might want to try to chase him off, or the Fireborn might want to try to chase him off. Really important to try to get him out of the way as soon as possible. He's isolated. He's done. He needs to get chased off now, because if he comes back, it will be brutal. Yet another single entity to deal with for the High Elves. But it does not look like he's getting that escort business. He's in the woods. Can Imric stop him? Can he terror out him again and possibly get him to leave? Yep, he hits him, gets a good attack off, and the Fireborn are coming in, and he will definitely be dead for sure now. The only thing left that is of brutal consequence to the High Elves is actually a lot. There's like there's 4 goddamn high priority targets here. We have the Chosen, we have the Soul Grinders, and then we have Kugas himself. The archers can eventually take care of Kugas and or a couple of the soul grinders, maybe one of the soul grinders. In combination with Imric, it should not be too much of a problem. The issue that I find right now is getting through the healing of Kugas and these good old chosen Nurgle. I mean, they just have 120 armor. There's not a ton of armor piercing left on the field for the High Elves. In fact, I think the only armor piercing damage that ever was Imric. So really, even these Dragon Princes who are cycle charging, as long as the Chosen are inundated with Nurglings and Kugas, Kugusi, and the Soul Grinders to blunt the charges, it's going to be very hard for these Chosen to go down. Imric is trying his best to route off and get off as many picks as he can, but he will be taking some chip damage along the way from the Kugas and from the Chosen, and if the Soul Grinders want to hop in and try to get some value as well. But right now he is in very much a horrible position. He set himself right in the middle. He punted that Soul Grinder a little bit, but he comes back vicious as ever. God, I forgot the name of that dragon, but he is just a beast. Oh, we're looking like another fleshy abundance here, and that will absolutely mitigate a lot of this damage coming in from Imric, and he needs to waddle away as quick as possible. Real Soul Grinders always count as attacker anyway, right? Yeah, I think they do, because they're artillery. So they're an artillery unit, and as long as you're shooting and expending ammo, I believe is the justification. You're spending a resource, right? That isn't like a Winds of Magic freebie. You have fulfilled your attacking. So Imric is diving in yet again. I don't agree with the second dive here. I think you need to wait and fire in a little bit more. Try to whittle down those Nurglings, at least get just as much of the chaff out of the way as possible before going in for these dives. Getting a good heal and Earth Blood onto Imric. Should be healing up a little bit here. But the regrowth, I think, is better for the single target heals. A lot more heals per Winds of Magic there. But Earthblood's good because it's pretty cheap and it triggers Life Bloom, which also heals you up a little bit. Now it's coming down to what we all know it was going to come down to, which is Imric, some archers, some cav, and then pretty much all the single entities for Nurgle. The Exalted actually did get routed off and destroyed, which is very good for the High Elves, but they're still almost 2,000k down in value. I need to blow my nose, but I will be right back. I'm going to let Kugusi and the boys work against these spearmen here. Alright. Kugus grinding away. He's going to be mortising things down, so we just pretty much have to wait, right, for the good old Nurgle to grind shit down, or if we can get some picks on these Soul Grinders. If Imric can get some good charges and start taking away... Oh, a little bit of... That looked like it was a disintegrating, animation, but I don't think it was. I think it was just his gross eminence. Got a good old Imric there. Oh, his tea is so good. Oh, tea. Alright. So, Imric slapping on one of these guys. The Spearman's trying to charge in, and the Fireborn might think about it. They cause fear with the Dragon Horn, and they're going to deal some good damage. But can, even with the defeating of this Soul Grinder... Wait, was that a heal? That was an upgraded Earth Blood. Very nice. Healing all the units in the area. At least up to 4, I believe, so most of them. Illyrian Reavers running. Soul Grinder about to die. And it looks like Imric might be able to take out the second one as well. Knocks him back, slaps him around. But can Kugus end Imric in a one-on-one? And I'm not exactly sure that is actually possible. With all the support around, Imric might just have the time to heal up, get some shots into the Kugusi, have his Illyrian Reavers, his Dragon Princes, some of the stragglers on standby so he can charge them in. But will Will Imrik have enough punching power and HP left to deal with the Soul Grinder and Kugusi? And keep in mind, the point is coming into effect now. I will say it is about, like what, almost like 2 minutes away now. So Kugus might have to make a break for it. If not, Imrik will probably end up winning this bout just due to essentially Nurgle not being able to kill off the High Elf army quick enough. Now, it's not guaranteed that Kugus would win this, but it is not guaranteed that he would lose it either. So it is a situation where like the mod is forcing the game to come to an end, which I personally am okay with because seeing this play out would be a bit ridiculous. That being said, Imrik can just disengage, and he did disengage, so now there's really no impetus for the High Elves to do particularly anything. They have stalled Nurgle out long enough to where it's going to be very hard for them to come back from this and recapture that point. They just didn't find the time to actually scrap back the positioning, and unfortunately they gave the positioning away by using their artillery at the beginning, right? So you force your opponent to come to you over a long map, right? A big map, so you have a good DPS lead at the beginning, but you did give up positioning by allowing your opponent to gather all that ground and prevent you from getting even remotely close to the cap. So I will say there is some positioning. Again, positioning is key in Total War in general, but especially when it comes to the mod, you have to be thinking about those late game scenarios if you are a grindy faction like Nurgle. So maybe you do want to get those Soul Grinder shots, but perhaps try to move up your army closer to the point so you can start contesting it once it comes down to the wire like this. That being said, Imrik is approaching his healing cap, and he's getting the Earth Blood, and I think he might actually be able to win this regardless of cap. That being said, it will be decided by the cap, and GG to Umbrella and Black. That was a very good one. Elf versus Nerd. We'll just call it there. All right. So he could have marched it up. Yeah, he probably should have. Exactly. Yeah, like the cap point is not meant to end games that way theoretically, but you have to be aware of it due to how the game has to put constraints on the rest of the abusive quote unquote play. So yes, I think you definitely should be aware of jockeying for position in that, and really Kugas could have just moved up a little bit in the late game, but unfortunately there was not enough time for his fat ass to waddle all the way over there. Great value on him, 5k value, 700 on the Exalted Hero, 1200 on one Soul Grinder, 1900 on the other, almost 3k on those Chosen, holy crap. 400 on the Demon Spew. Marauders and Nurglings were simply chaff. Imrik himself got 3,000 value though, 1,600 on the Fireborn, 1,100 on the regular Dragon Princes, decent value on the Illyrian Reavers, good value on these Archers, always paying for themselves. Major Life did her work, the healing, and then the Spears and Lothran got 1,500 and 1,600 respectively. There's a lot of value getting thrown around here, guys. GG. Damn, had that one without the cap point. I don't know if you did. I'm not going to lie to you. I think because Imrik probably could have cycle charged quite a bit. He might have died. But those Chosen were pretty much done. I mean, they were going to get cycle charged pretty much to death. I think it was a lot closer. Like that was a pretty intense game. Imrik still had a good little healing cap left too. Like he could heal up to like, I don't know, like almost 40, like 45% health there. And Imrik is definitely one of those characters that if left alone to cycle charge, he could probably take on the Kugas. Yeah, he had ammo, but I don't think the ammo would have saved you. Not from Imrik. Because I think your Chosen were pretty much dead. They put in an insane amount of work, 3k value, Jesus Christ. But they were pretty like depleted at the end there, and one charge from Imric would have probably terror routed them. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know, but like the thing about Imric is that this guy like gets like almost like 700 like weapon strength per like charge attack, and I think it would have been close. There's still like a lot of high elf stragglers left. Did you have a fleshy abundance left? Because I think that would have made a huge difference. If you had a fleshy abundance, I would argue that you probably would have won that. But if you didn't have a fleshy abundance, I'm not so sure. But GG though. GG. I had the army ability. The army ability does heal a good amount. I forgot how much it heals, but Black took the W on points. Yeah, High Elves. High Elves ended up scraggling, taking it up at the end there. But it was a ridiculously close game. Yeah, it was interesting. I wished there was a little more time to see how that play out, but again, I mean, the point is there. It is there for a reason. It is there to enforce the holiest of rules, to keep you honest, keep you doing things. All right, so we're moving on to the semis here. I thought I could army loss him. Yeah, it doesn't. You can't do that in this mod, unfortunately. If we could do that, I think the mod would be like damn near very close to like perfect, not perfect, but like very dialed in. I think if army losses was in, there'd be a lot less situations like that, right? Um, so yeah, but you know, it's a work in progress, and we can't really fix that right now, but hopefully in the future there may be opportunities to do that. So I'm in the yoga studio, same room. Yep, and now we are seeing the semis. Let's check who the semis are. Or no, this is the finals. We already saw both semis, one with the Skaven and Kislev, and one with High Elves and Nurgle. We are now seeing Imric, backed up by Kugath, and who else did Black beat? Astrogoth. Holy shit. Okay, so Imric backed up by Astrogoth and Kugath. His allies joined him after being defeated soundly in battle. And Katerin backed up by, let's see, Ikit and Cetra. So those are quite the squads of heroes, of Chads that are going to be going up against each other. We got Cetra squaring off against Imric. We got Kugath squaring off against Katerin. I don't know if she's a Chad, but she's pretty good. She's pretty fucking good. She acted like a Chad in her game against the Skaven for sure. But yeah, I think that game was like close enough to where I didn't mind that the positioning ended up like taking it. I think that Kugusi did a classic Kugusi thing of just outlasting stuff, but I mean, I don't necessarily know exactly what would have happened because morale still is a thing. I'm not sure if he would have started taking crumbling damage after the Chosen went or not. Are we required to play the main faction first, or could we play one of those ones we defeated first? Let's check the rules. Umbrella's in the chat, so he can tell you. For finals to be best of 3, you can use any of the legendary lords you defeated in your best of 3 match. Each player will blind pick their factions in the order they wish to play them and send them to Cool Umbrella. So, for example, if you choose Grimgor as your legendary lord, you defeat Cetra and Kari and Belagar on your way. You may choose any of those 3 legendary lords for your best of 3. Yep. And so you can choose however you desire, in whatever order you desire. You just have to only use those 3 as the fat Slan watches and devours his hot dog and chips, as I devour my remaining breakfast and tea. Oh shit. Okay. Um. Hmm. Black does not have Astrogoth. That is interesting. Okay, so Umbrella, what would you like to do here? Would you like to give him the lord of his choice? Or like because he does not actually have Astrogoth here. Yeah, Chaos or Dwarves. Okay, that's pretty funny. I like that. Um yeah, you have a choice. Now, I mean, this is definitely can be overruled by Umbrella. My opinion would be since you defeated Chaos Dwarves, you can have a choice of doing like some haggard like Dwarf Lord or a chaos guy, maybe like a Warriors of Chaos. I would assume, but again, up to Umbrella. It's his tourney and his decision. But that would be hilarious if you get a combination of like you could choose from Chaos or Dwarves. Yeah, just sounds right. Yeah, that's a funny scenario. I totally forgot Black didn't have we used the wheel. I got Wolfric. There you go. The wheel works too. There's a random, generator online that we could have used as well. And he got Wolfric. So there you go. So Astrogoth will be being subbed today because he's not actually on Black's roster here. And Black will be choosing, or not choosing, but having Wolfric stand by his side in time of need. The Wanderer. It's kind of perfect, actually. He just wandered into the fight and was like, yeah, you know what? I'll help you. So it looks like we are seeing Skaven versus the good old Norska. I will remind Lamb Sauce here that you have to use Ikit as he is the legendary lord that you defeated. So you can only claim those who you have bested in battle in the previous rounds of the tournament. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I think Skaven Norska is a interesting matchup. I think it's mostly Norska favored, but I think there is a lot of room for the Skaven to kind of fight back. There's a lot of options that the Skaven have, so that's power. Options is always power. If you can mind game your opponent and possibly bring like a strange build that they might not be able to compensate for in every single way in their army, you might be able to throw them off a little bit. But mostly it's just that like, fucking Skin Wolves trade great into Rat Ogres. All the like chaff for Skaven just melt to the chaff of Norska. There's really good value in the javelins for Norska as well, and they have a lot of cheap pressure from the flanks with the aforementioned Skin Wolves and possibly Ice Wolves and just Norscan Warhounds, where you can basically overwhelm a Skaven formation very easily from pretty much all angles. because you just have heavy hitting power. Now, what you don't have is like a shit ton of morale and a lot of armor, so the Skaven can usually exploit your lack of defense with a lot of like skirmish or punching power in other ways. Because in a straight melee grind, Norska usually just beats them down. But I would say Skaven have a really good access to magic, certain monsters, single entry monsters, and some other stuff that can be potent. And more importantly, they're just skirmish. You know, they can really whittle down a Norscan formation if they want to, but they just have a weak front line, unfortunately. All right, getting into it. Let's see. Oops, oopsie. And there we go. All right. Ikit versus the Wanderer. The Hunter of Champions versus the crazy, mad, most brilliant scientific mind of the Skaven race. In his weird Darth Vader-esque suit. I believe this is the same map as before. I'm not sure if this was correct. Let's see. So we have the altar, but then there is Oakenshield, Rifts at World's Edge, and Known Outskirts. So hopefully they switch the map, but I don't honestly mind if we do another one. Like you didn't blind pick. Yeah, so we can reset some stuff if people want to redo not only the picks and bans, but also the map, because the map is incorrect. This is the semifinal map. But if people don't mind, I would be fine with going along with the game as well. And then the other two potentially will be on the correct maps. So we get a little bit of variety here. Because we did put in a ton of maps for a reason. We got that juicy amount of variety that you can choose from for your different experiences. So yeah, it'll be up to Umbrella and the players, but I really don't mind either way. Let's pretend like we are sticking with this map, and I will go over the Skaven roster as per usual. So for the HQ of the Skaven, we have Ikit, who is of course using Cleansing Ruin, Unlimited Power, and Brass Orb. Very strat game of you, no, but very good and powerful cheap kit. We have a Chieftain with the Power Grab, so a little different here. Then we have a Packmaster with the classic running with the pack and all of his regular goodies. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4 Skaven Slaves, 3 Poison Wind Globadiers, who are going to throw in those good volleys. Slightly nerfed this patch, but still very potent. 4 Wolf Rats with Poison. And then I believe 4 Rat Ogres as well. 2 Rat Ogres chilling on the side in a flank formation with Ikit and the boys. Very cool chieftain on his Rat Ogre or whatever that Mutant Rat Ogre mount is. It's very cool. And then we have some Wolf Rats chilling here. 2 of them in the Vanguard. Alright. For the HQ of Norska, we have Wulfric the Wanderer on a horse. We got the Famir Balefiend with just a simple burning head. Does Wulfric have anything cool? Yep, he's got the Sea Fang, got Hunter of Champions, and he's got Sword of Torgold. So he's laying down some good weapon strength, but more importantly, can debuff the shit out of enemy heroes and lords, and also use Sea Fang to absolute devastating effect against the squishy Skaven. We have 4 just regular Marauders, which are a pretty good choice against Skaven because they just beat up a lot of their infantry, their chaff. 2 Norscan Warhounds, one being the Beast of Tashnar. Oh, nope. The other one being an Ice Wolf. Count as large, but they give the Frostbite and have really good weapon strength. Beast of Tashnar are anti-large and just fast as hell. Skin Wolves on the flank. Skin Wolves on the flank. And then a Farskin Wolf deployed with 2 Norscan Ice Wolves. So very good stuff. And then last but not least. I'm brain dead. So Cold Avoider gets a cool Frost Breath attack, has Guardian, which is a weird thing, and has the Chilling Aura as per use. And yeah, it's an interesting unit. Underutilized, I would say. I mean, Frost Wyverns are good for Norska, but they're very rarely seen because they usually don't pay for themselves, in my experience. But they can definitely put in work if given the right opportunity. Just need to be careful because they do have that kind of sad amount of HP and not the greatest armor in the world. 70 armor is like meh, you know. But they do have some pretty good potential with their breaths that can slow stuff down as well. And they have that chilling aura to actually keep things from running away from you. So they can be pretty good in a pinch if you have your opponent in a bad situation and need to keep them there. So, point early contest happening. The classic, Packmaster is about to get charged by Wulfric. Did he pop something? No, he didn't. He just got... I swore he popped Sword of Torgold or something because his little light flashed up above him like it was an effect, but it seemed that nothing really happened. Perhaps maybe he was in the aura of some kind of... let's see. No, there isn't really anything here. Nope. So, yeah, just a little early poke and prod. Skaven have no real reason to engage because they have the skirmishing impetus, but if they do want to be in a good position to contest the point, they want to stay around this middle area, just in case late game they get in a sticky situation where the point capture becomes a matter of importance. Ice Wolves, or no, not Ice Wolves, Rat Wolves getting caught out by Skin Wolves and Marauders, sending them running for the hills almost immediately as those werewolves gobble up these poor little rat mutants. Again, these guys get chased off almost immediately. They don't have a ton of homes. You know, there's not a lot of good things for these wolves to target. That being said, some rear charges on these Marauders couldn't hurt at all. The Poison Wind Globes actually kind of overextending here. My apologies. Overextending here, and then the Marauders getting a free charge on these Skaven slaves, and they will absolutely obliterate them. But these Globes getting a very good volley onto these Marauders, dealing some good DPS, but again, not the beasts that they once were, not absolutely obliterating them in one volley, which is probably fair. I mean, it is kind of annoying when you see a very high value unit just get absolutely obliterated in one shot by pretty much anything is not a feel good, but that has been like 3 volleys that these Marauders have suffered, so they are going down for sure, taking DPS after DPS of the Poison Wind damage over time. Very good stuff. The mobility of the Skaven continue to crumble as Skin Wolves and Ice Wolves chew up Rat Ogres on the flanks. This time around, the Rat Ogres are actually getting a good engagement on these Ice Wolves, while the Skin Wolves are kind of bogged up by the Wolf Rats. But it seems that key parts of the Skaven core frontline are getting just picked apart piecemeal style, whereas these Rat Ogres and Ikit Claw and the Chieftain are just kind of chilling, trying to chase after these HQ, which is funny why he can't catch him. I mean, he has like 54 speed. These guys have 60 speed. This guy is 72. So it is pretty funny that these guys are somehow waddling their way free. He's going to get caught up by these routing Marauders, unfortunately. But Wulfric getting chased down by the Packmaster is not great. Wulfric could pop his Hunter of Champions and probably turn around and fight him with only 40 armor. His weapon strength should actually matter quite a bit. That being said, if he turns around and fights, Ikit and the boys will be there to support pretty quickly. So Skin Wolves, Norscan Ice Wolves, all the wolves, there's a shit ton of wolves, are cleaning up shop in the Poison Wind Globadier department, and getting these guys off the field early is very important. Having all these Rat Ogres and stuff dedicated to these flanks is interesting because you might be able to isolate and actually get some good damage on the hero and Skin Wolves, but the Skin Wolves and Ice Wolves are mobile, so really you kind of want to force them to try to come to you because they simply can run away, especially with the Ice Wolves debuffing your speed if they manage to get attacks on you with the Frostbite. Cold of Order has been raining hell and really kind of uncontested, unfortunately. as Black has pretty much been free to do whatever he pleases with the Cold Warrior. I don't know what the damage is on this thing. 600 value, not a lot, but he did crump pretty much all of the front line of the Skaven. And the value is showing you the difference here. I think the focus on the flanks for the Skaven was their doom. I think they needed to try to support the line that they had and not get caught up in the mobility trap that is trying to chase Norska around with all their frostbite debuffs and other things, and in turn getting your other assets isolated and your hero squad pretty much all over the place now. I think it's pretty much over for the Skaven, unfortunately. They just can't probably come back from a position this rough. We're about looking at like 4,000 something difference. It's a lot of value to make up in a very short amount of time. Yep, that is GG. And then the instant loadout. Oh, it's so annoying. All right. AK Claw, 1400, 200, 400. Fortunately, Radovers didn't get a ton of good engagements there. One of the Skaven Loadeers got to do what they wanted, but the rest pretty much got compromised immediately by Cold Voider and friends. And there just wasn't enough support in the main line, I think. I think it was just a little rough for the good old Skaven here. Yeah, Skinwolves just putting in work. The mobility core of the Norskins proved to be quite potent against Skaven, and especially when they isolate themselves and kind of go chasing for stuff they can't really catch. But a GG, nonetheless, moving on to game 2. And be sure to change them. Came in with the Hinga Durgan. Yeah, he really did. He really did, Pone. He came in ruthlessly. Speaking of, when are we going to play Age of Wonders, Pone? When? So I saw you guys. It was so funny, dude. The ending of the last night's stream or whatever, or yesterday's stream. Like, you were beating Turin so bad that you just, like, went AFK and was like, yep, I'll just kill him anyway. And just went to eat dinner. Oh, it was so good, dude. It was so funny. It was like, I was, me and Dov and everybody, because we were playing our own game of Age of Wonders, and we were just watching that like, damn, Pone's really doing him dirty. Like, oh, like, the fucking, I forgot what they're called. I think they're like the soul stealers or whatever the hell they're called. The little like fish people who just mind control guys. Those things are ridiculous, man. So gross. All right, let's put our screen blocker up. Bada boom, bada bang. There's the slan of the hot dog stream. One day, the hot dogs may return to give all the boys high cholesterol once again. But yeah, guys, I don't know if you've checked out Age of Wonders, but it's a pretty fun game. It's pretty addicting, and this is coming from a guy who really does not play those types of games often. Like, I don't care about Civilization that much. I liked Heroes of Might and Magic. I just got my ass kicked by Anna, Turn, and Pone too many times. They don't hit that hard unless you awaken them, and they're not super tanky, but stealing chaff is not that bad. So is awakening them, is that like a druid thing, or is that a mystic thing? What is awakening? Because I've only ran, I think, Barbarian and Industry before, so I'm on the complete opposite spectrum of you guys. I do some Chaos dabbling, but I like my Materium because I like all the like city buffs, you know, that gives you extra production and shit. Oh, it's a high culture thing. Oh, it's the high culture. Alright. Alright, high table John Wick over here. Yeah, those things seem ridiculous, man. They're basically these units that gain control of your opponent's units for the entirety of the battle, it seems. Which is absolutely nasty. Absolutely just disgusting. Disgusting. Yeah, it's just real gross stuff. I tried playing Age of Wonders, or I tried fighting this Wonder, which are these kind of main like buildings and the main namesake of the game, really, where you go and fight these big battles and get like large benefits if you can capture the thing and then also try to annex it within your city. And I just totally like didn't really expect the fight to be that brutal, but the fight not only it took away all my magic basically, and I was like, oh, what? And then these fire elementals had super good ranged attacks, and they're all AoE. And my whole industry like build was that, okay, I get these heavy troops, I mount them on wolves, and then I'll stack them together for this like pack tactics ability. And so they completely destroyed my strategy because my magic was out, and then they just AoE'd the crap out of me. And also, what was it? They when they died, when the magma like elementals died, they spawned tinier ones. So I thought I was gonna barely win out this battle, and I was like, yes, okay, I'm gonna kill this one and kill that one. And then they spawned 2 little minions, and I was like, well, I'm fucked. And it was so rough. It was just so ridiculous. And then my commander actually routed, or not routed, I tried to rout him away, but then he had he had the belt of the berserker, so he came back because he almost died. So he was like, nope, I'm gonna go berserk. And then he like routed again and somehow managed to leave. It was the funniest shit. Okay, game. Nope, not trying to do that. All right, let's go over the armies. Enough Age of Wonder bullshit. Let's go over the armies for some sweet Total War. For the Lamb Sauce King in these finals, we're seeing an HQ of just Katerin. Is she on? Nope, she's on a horse yet again. Kind of Lamb Sauce's shtick at this point. Just horse Katerin. Ice Sheet, Ice Maiden's Kiss, and no Heart of Winter. Very interesting. We have a mobile core of how many dervishes? We have 2 dervishes. Seems like 3 dervishes, 5 dervishes, or not 5 dervishes, 4 dervishes. And then 2 winged lancers, 3 Streltsky, 5 armored Khazars, yes sir, and 3 regular Khazars, and then 1 spear Khazar? Do we not have... Is that just a little too asymmetrical for me? Okay, yeah, I guess one spear Khazar. And that'll round out the build, the wide build of Kislev, always going wide for the boys. Much like, what's his face's chest, Kylo Ren's chest. I can't get that meme of him being a wide boy. Is really funny. Adam Driver, goddammit. Okay, so Imric, Lord of Dragons, Dragonhorn. Classic asshole. He's just a really good lord. It's super Chad. Pretty scary. We have 2 Illyrian Reavers, 2 Dragon Princes, and this is pretty much the same build as last time. So we have the Mage with the Earthblood and the Life Bloom, and then just a bunch of spears and like kind of cheap holding items here. So Imric can do his work, and the Dragon Princes can get some sweet, sick charges, while the rest of the army peppers the Kislevites with some arrows and then holds them in place. But the thing is that there's a lot of ranged assets for Kislev, and once they get in range, they're going to massively out DPS the ranged of the High Elves. So it's really just a matter of, can the Kislevs blunt the absolute beasts that are these Dragon Princes, and can they deal with Imric appropriately? The 3 Streltsky can easily deal with Imric, but it's a matter of, can he keep them safe, and can he keep the dervishes and the wing lancers in good positions to not get absolutely wrecked by Dragon Princes, but at least keep them busy for a while. So the approach is going pretty well. Kislev going to grab the point initially, get some early point lead just to be annoying. Imric can fly over there. I would not recommend him going over the point, because if he flies over the point, he'll start taking damage as per the rule in this mod. If you hover over the point with your flyer, you will take damage, because technically we can't stop them from contesting it, but we can have them so they truly contest it when they land by not taking the damage. So if you're landed, you'll be fine. If you're hovering, you'll take damage, so you can't late game cheese the capture point. Lyran Reavers jockeying for position. Kislev moved up a little hastily here. I think you want to get some early salvos into these spearmen and other stuff as a Kislev. as the Kislev front line, because you just want to get some extra value before you charge in to get all that gold squeezed out of the Kossars as much as possible. Streltsy rightfully firing into the Imrik. I would have almost moved up these guys. Yep, these guys I believe can shoot into Imrik as well. They're going to be taking some good juicy damage from those archers. And the Kossars are going to be after counter-skirmishing those archers in order to get them down. These are not lightly armored archers, they're just archers, so 15 armor should prove enough for these Kossars to deal some good DPS. Imrik causes a terror rout, but the Kossars will be going ahead and using their Viral Blood to prevent that. All the dervishes in the world is using themselves as meat shields for these Dragon Princes. You do want to see like a Breath of Maiden's Kiss or like a Heart of Winter or something on there to punish that, but unfortunately there's just no offensive presence there for those cavalry. Now the dervishes are going to be running away and exposing this flank to the Illyrian Reavers and Dragon Princes. However, this other one is getting chased off by some Winged Lancers and Kossarified dervishes. Illyrian Reavers by themselves will absolutely get wrecked by this combo, but the Dragon Princes are no joke, and they will come in there and smash face if they get a good charge. I'm sorry, back it again. Who's winning? Currently, Black has won the first match as Norska, but he is in a pitched fight against Kislev for the potentially last match if the High Elves claim victory here. But the Kislevites are putting up a very good fight. They are slightly ahead on value, and the Winged Lancers are getting charged by Imrik. Not good here, but the Streltsy are here to punish Imrik as much as humanly possible. Laying in that armor-piercing fire, whittling down his health, making it sure that the High Elf mage has her work cut out for her. And in fact, the High Elf mage is getting surrounded by these Winged Lancers, but Illyrian Reavers are in the back, harassing them, trying to stop them from getting their caster deleted off the face of the earth. Imrik, being an absolute beast, face-tanking all these bullets is insane. Katarine trying to stop the Dragon Princes, but really, I mean, you have no Winged Lancers here anymore, and maybe a little more defensive play might have been better to try to ward off this cav as long as possible for the Streltsy to do even more work. Unfortunately, we're seeing a upgraded Earthblood to get Imrik back to semi-decently healthy state with the Frostbite from Ice Sheet, maybe a Maiden's Kiss. We'll be able to deal some good damage to these Dragon Princes and get them off of the field. It's a pretty good breath, but it's right in front of these Spearmen, so I don't think it was as good as it could have been. If you get from this side, maybe the breath would have been brutal, or into this blob of kind of box formation Streltsy would have been great as well. Doesn't seem to matter, as the High Elves, I think, are crumping majority of the mobility for the Kislevites. These Dragon Princes are low, but they're still healthy enough to cause disruptions. And Katarine being alone, unsupported against Imrik is not a great position. All these Kossars can be firing in and trying to deal with the Dragon Princes, but their high armor and shield block chance is going to be rough for the low damage and no AP of the Kossars. Keeping the Streltsy alive is probably the most important part, and they are currently running for their lives, one using their Viral Blood but will soon be deceased. That was a really unfortunate Ice Kiss, Maiden's Kiss, because it just kind of whiffed there, didn't really touch much of anything. The Spearmen, unfortunately, are right here, and I think it was just a miscast, unfortunately, just a misclick. So, good old Imrik and the High Elves are looking in a decent position, as the absolute Chad Lord of Dragons will be putting in work against Katarine, and not a lot can stop him now. Streltsy are coming back, so they might be able to get some volleys into him, but the DPS is not there, unfortunately. 90 armor with no shield block chance isn't the most, but considering he has a high HP Dragonborn here, the Fireborn here are going to be very rough, because again, there's just too many high priority targets left for the High Elves. Kislev was unable to stop the wrath of the cavalry coming from the back, because otherwise they really had good pressure on Imrik and any you know, kind of archer units that could threaten them. But unfortunately, the mobility game was not dealt with accordingly. The Illyrian Reavers are still decently healthy. Dragon Prince is still decently healthy. But otherwise, the Kislevs kind of actually took a dub in most of the engagements. It just all came down to the mobility, which I'm telling you, a lot of games really do. They really do come down to the mobility. It is a sad fact, but ever since like Medieval 2, mobility has been such a crucial part of the Total War game plan when you're playing as a faction. Even if your main strategy is not to use cavalry to claim the victory, you usually have to have some kind of anti-mobility tactic or mobility itself to just respond to the threat that is high damage mobility in terms of cavalry, flying units, monstrous infantry and stuff if they're fast enough, like skin wolves, etc. Because they just have decently high impact and they can get to things quickly. So you need to always keep in mind when you're building a stationary army with a lot of potent power like that, you have to have equal amount of defensive capability to try to stall your opponents while you let your skirmish do their work. And also, unfortunately, the Streltsy really didn't have good line of sight on much besides Imric. If you can get a side-swiping, charge on the Dragon Princes and stop them from moving, but leave enough of them exposed for the Streltsy to shoot, you perhaps can have a chance of getting some good DPS and stopping them from absolutely compromising your line. But GG there. It was a tough bout indeed, and that will, I think, end the series of the best of 3. We see in the final values arena, unfortunately, the Katerin did not do that much. The Streltsy did pretty good work here. They got some good shots into Imric, but it just was not enough. They didn't have enough time to focus down much else, as the Illyrian Reaver, Dragonborn, god damn it, the Fireborn and the Dragon Princes just put in work. Imric, of course, being Chad stuff, but he was getting pieced out there for a little bit. But the Streltsy could not do it. So GG to both Lamb Sauce and Black and everybody who participated in the tournament. Thank you guys very much for showing up and playing. I'm sure we'll be hosting some more Land Battle with Cap or just Land Battle events in general. And thank you to Umbrella for putting it on. And yeah, hey, at least I don't use regrowth. Yeah, you could, and that I think regrowth would be optimal here, genuinely. So yeah, it was a good bout, good scrap. But the Kislev, yeah, I mean it's just rough, man. You got to deal with the Dragon Princes and Imric, and I think honestly you got to deal with whatever is going to compromise your backline the most. And I think unfortunately that's the Cav in this case. Yeah, Imric, I wouldn't say he's OP now, but I think healing makes him a little wacky, but I don't think that's an Imric problem. That's more of a healing percentages and ultra size unit thing in general. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming out yet again, and I'll hopefully be doing some more events soon, maybe casting some battles if I can, and maybe doing some juicy Age of Wonders 4 content if people are interested in that. But we shall see. So, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Have a good one. And catch you in the next one. Go Diab.